So, way back in January, Theodore got me an amazing birthday gift to go and feed raccoons. For the second time. This time, though, a different place, to a bit nearer home, called Millets Farm Falconary. Safe to say, I was super excited. And then, as we all know, 2020 happened. Fortunately, lockdown restrictions lifted just enough that further into the year, and with some precautions in place, we were finally able to use the voucher. Hello, I'm Shadow Raccoon.
And I'm Theadore Rabbit.
And this is the story of our furry day out, to go feed some more raccoons. So, those of you who have been around the channel long enough or have wandered through my back catalogue far enough might have seen my trip last year to a place in Kent with some raccoons. It was an amazing experience, marred mostly by the terrible British weather. Fortunately for us this time, the weather was at least intended to be better, and hopefully less wet. Our destination this year, much more local too. Millets Farm Falconary, which is Oxfordshire's largest centre for falconry and wildlife, and convenient for us too, it was accessible by public transport, which is useful because none of us here drive. Their website titles the experience as, "Are you wild about raccoons? If so, this experience is for you."
Well, you certainly fit that description.
Oh, definitely. The experience included entry, as you'd expect, but also, more importantly to us, the chance for both of us to go and feed the raccoons there, which was great, as it meant that, unlike the feeding experience we did last year, Theadore Rabbit could actually join in too, something I know he regretted not being able to do last time. A short train ride, which, fortunately for us, was pretty empty the whole way, and then a quick bus ride, which took us most of the way to the place, ending with just a short walk down a somewhat busy road, which was fine until the pavement ran out, leaving us walking the last few hundred metres or so on the grassy verge. Fortunately, it wasn't raining. On our way in, we got to see an impressively large pick-your-own pumpkin patch that the farm was running, and some rather interesting Halloween-themed decorations. Look, they've even made a hay bale look spooky! Woo. In the car park, I quickly spotted signs with raccoons on them, and a signpost towards them, so I definitely knew we were in the right place, and as you expect, I was pretty excited by this point. You know how I am with anything with raccoons.
Oh yeah.
So, we walked in, and obviously gave our names, and we were told that 4 o'clock, be sure to be at the raccoon experience, and until then we could kind of enjoy the centre, so we did. We took a wander through, we went past all the different animal exhibits, and suddenly we were met with the most adorable faces going. This little raccoon was just poking his head straight out at you. The raccoons at this at the Millets Farm were just so visible and so accessible.
Oh, easily.
You could actually get their little grabby paws going through the cage. He was so adorable. But unfortunately, Theodore and obviously our camera bird Reggie also wanted to see the bird show, which was on pretty much at the same time as we had got there. So they had to kind of drag me away from my first little encounter with the raccoons.
To be fair, we were told there was only 10 minutes before the first show when we got into the actual door, so we were already on a time limit.
Oh, I mean, having seen the birds on the way in, I was pretty excited by this point to kind of, see the birds and the show. And I was not disappointed on that bird show.
No, they've got this lovely little area that's set up with seating and everything like that, where you can just sit down, lots of perches all around you for the birds to fly around you. And
it was very interactive. I got clipped by wings multiple times.
Reggie's crest got swooped on by an owl at one point and went straight over the top of him.
And I must admit, the talk that they were giving at the same time as the bird show was actually quite fascinating too.
It was informative, it was funny.
We certainly learned some facts. Our camera bird even learned a new fun fact about stackable birds.
Oh yeah, about Harris hawks, that they actually stack on top of one another, on top of cactuses to rest.
So I'm now going to call Harris hawks Lego birds.
Lego birds.
But it was a fantastic show. It was about a half hour long. Definitely a great part of the experience.
Yeah, it was about half an hour.
About half an hour. And so afterwards, I think the first thing that caught my attention, and both visually and audioly, was these tiny little owls.
About this big, tiny.
They were so loud. It was feeding time for them, and they were making this tremendous noise. Although,
To be fair, I think they were doing that anyway.
Yeah, as we found out later on, they just made that noise all day. I thought ours were supposed to kind of be silent. And yeah, that was fun. And they were called like Joe and Joe, which was just
which is weird.
And also, round the corner there was a bird called Reggie, which, you know, is what we nicknamed for our camera bird Regda, although he is not a turkey vulture.
No, he's a very miserable looking Reggie. He's sat there looking...
Sadly for our camera bird, they didn't have hoopos here, but Millets Farm, if you're watching this, get some hoopos. Make our camera bird really happy. But they had so many birds for him to enjoy, and I know our camera bird really loved it with the, you know, I mean, there's such a selection. I mean, it was great seeing animals like yellow kites.
Yeah.
You know,
it's amazing, like we were saying, like it's not a massively big place, but they intensely pack everything in.
Oh, it's
and they give enough room for every bird.
It's easily a 2-3 hour job, and it's not just birds either, which I really liked. There were some skunks, which were
adorable,
totally adorable. I know they had their names was like Peppy and Renee, but I'm calling that one Skunk Mantra.
Yeah.
After our friend Skunk Mantra.
Skunk Mantra.
But that was great, and
I was going to say a pineapple there,
whilst unfortunately due to the pandemic at the moment and restrictions, they couldn't properly have the reptile section open, which is a shame.
No.
We were able to see a quick glimpse
of Jub Jub. We call him Jub Jub.
I don't know if it was called Jub Jub. I'm sure
he was Jub Jub. He was Jub Jub. You know, he was called Jub Jub. He didn't have a name. He was called Jub Jub.
But no, it was great. And I won't lie. Some of the names that they had there, talking of them, if you are kind of looking for your new fursona name, you could go there and just look at all the names, and you could pick them. I mean, they even had some names of other furries that we know, like Viper.
Yeah.
So that was pretty decent. But, you know, and I won't lie, we quickly filled 2-3 hours just staring and engaging and enjoying the animals
for such a small place, and we realised that it just felt like a TARDIS. It was just
we went round multiple times.
We went around multiple times, and it was just like new birds to find in different things we hadn't looked at the first time round.
And
amazing.
You could get so close to a lot of the animals, which you can't do in a lot of other places, and that's one of the things that I really enjoed, was the fact that the meerkats...
You really could.
You could literally... I mean, if you wanted to, you could probably reach out and touch the meerkats. That's a bad idea. Don't touch them. But it was really, really cool. And the raccoon enclosure, that is, well, I mean, obviously raccoons...
You literally like touching them.
Raccoons were always going to be a highlight of the trip for me anyway, but the enclosure was, I mean, beyond anything else. Normally my experience, especially for the place we went to last year, the raccoons were quite a distance away. There's normally at least a few fences or a glass door or a wall, and very often the raccoons are sleeping or hiding inside and you can't see them. But not the enclosure here. The raccoons were all lively.
Right there.
They had a little hammock. One was swinging it.
Oh, that was adorable. He was asleep in the hammock.
And you could tell that they were all really enjoying themselves. They were all very happy. They were chirring away. They had a little pipe that connected them to another second enclosure. You know, so they had lots of room to play. They could swing around and nibble stuff. And they were so happy.
You can tell he spent a lot of time with these.
Oh, easily. We spent 2-3 hours probably staring at them alone.
Now, I did like the pipe idea, though. Just to clarify, it's one enclosure that's got... You can see the raccoons from two sides, so you can always see them. And then there's a pipe that basically goes in through the ceiling, as it were, all the way across. And you can't see them at this point, but it goes over the meerkat enclosure and into another completely separate area.
Oh, they certainly
way away.
Using it.
So it's not right next to each other. They're actually quite a way away, these two enclosures, but they connect. Which means that if the raccoons feel uncomfortable, well, they can just go into the pipe, all the way out to the other enclosure and get away from the screaming children or whatever. And that was unique.
Well, they couldn't get away from me.
You weren't screaming at them.
After staring at them for probably about most of my visit,
a very long
I kept
time,
dragging them back. Although if you get the camera bird away from the birds, it was finally time for feeding. And you could tell that they were getting ready for feeding.
Oh,
so
definitely.
Knew.
Oh, wow.
The keeper came over and started us off by just giving us some peanuts. And what we got to do was we got to kind of tap the paws. So we kind of got shook hands with the raccoons, and we then got to give them the peanut. Oh, so adorable. It was the first time I've ever actually been able to touch a raccoon, because the previous experience last year was like, if you touch them, they will gnaw your hand off.
Yeah.
So that was really lovely that you could actually get that interaction. And quite frankly, if it had just been that, I probably would have been happy and fluting the whole way home anyway. But it got even better. So after spending about 10-15 minutes with some raccoons frantically grabbing. I mean,
we should clarify, that's the beginning of the raccoon experience. You get to feed the raccoons. They don't just let you do it if you don't pay for the thing. So this was our start of our raccoon experience.
Yeah, and I mean, it was your first experience giving them, so you got an idea of just how strong their paws are.
Yeah, again, last year I didn't get anywhere near them, so...
You know, and,
very strong.
You know, and they were grabby.
Yeah, they were yeah.
I mean, you're kind of used to me, like, being...
I was going to say, very grabby, yeah. But no, it was really lovely. Weirdly enough, like, feeding them the peanuts, you realise that at one point one of them let go of it and was able to not only get through the bars, pick up the peanut, and then hand it to himself all the way up, and then pull it through the bars. And I've never seen a raccoon be so dexterous.
But it was great to get some information about the raccoons that the centre had as well, that they had started with one, and they, you know, picked up a couple more along the way, and that they were a very popular attraction. I can see why.
I think Rocket was their latest one, wasn't it?
And then what we did was we got to go out back to the staff-only area, and we got to put together their dinner. Dinner was probably not something I would personally want. My dinner that night was KFC. I just want to clarify here.
Of course,
we had a pumpkin, which came from the farm next, farm site, handily, and we stuffed that with story camera bird and other featheries, some feathers, and other bits of dead animals, some biscuits.
Wings, I think it was, wasn't it?
And then also put together some dead chicks.
And cat food.
And a bit of cat food.
Cat food in these gong things.
Oh, that smell took me back to when I had a cat.
Oh, yeah.
I never used to like cat feeding.
So what, you still ate both birds? So both of you both ate birds anyway?
Yeah, they're close.
We had about carrots.
So obviously then we took it round, but we went to the other enclosure this time, which is kind of longer but narrower.
Yeah.
But the best bit was... well, actually, the funniest bit at first, I will say, is when the keeper asked me to come in. She said, duck your hair, just mind yourself. And she said to me, it's brilliant, it's like, pretend you're a raccoon.
Yeah.
But I just thought that was so funny. Anyway, so we sat down in the enclosure. We actually got to sit down. And then she gave some grapes and that to give to the raccoons. And... oh, they climbed over you.
We got tweezers, didn't we? We got
little tweezers so they wouldn't bite our fingers off.
As well.
And we could just sat there, and we were there for probably about 30 minutes?
Half an hour, yeah, easily.
It was a good amount of time that we just sat there, feeding them grapes and bits of chicks. They weren't so interested in the biscuits.
No,
they knew the grapes.
Like you and vegetables.
You know, and we got to learn obviously more about them as well, and that they've got kind of a hierarchy going on in there. And it was just great chatting with the keeper, who clearly loved the raccoons.
Oh, yeah, she was lovely.
I can't blame her. She was absolutely fantastic. It's always lovely to be able to talk to someone who cares about his raccoons as much as I do.
Yeah.
And just feeding them, and just having the raccoons climbing on you and sitting on your lap. That's an experience I never imagined I'd get.
No, we didn't think we'd get that interactive.
After last year, I kind of thought last year's events kind of set the standard of, like, you'd feed them from a distance because they can be quite... they can be dangerous.
They can.
But no, they took the right precautions here, but you could be so interactive. I got to stroke a raccoon.
Yeah?
You could...
I got to stroke a raccoon, yeah, we both did.
We're holding raccoons.
It was on your lap at one point.
My jeans have got scratch marks on them now from raccoons, which I won't lie is a great aesthetic.
They're in the wash now.
And it was just so amazing. And while we were doing this, we noticed that our favourite thing from last year, and I'm now going to say that this is something that's going to happen every time I go to feed raccoons, is it started chucking it down with raining. Thankfully, the raccoon enclosure was drier, so our poor camera bird was outside getting soaked at this point. We were quite dry. I wasn't so dry because I believe it was Rocky was dunking his paws in the water and then came and sat on my lap and made most of my leg wet. But it was absolutely amazing. And
mine was wet from chicken. It's like full of, it's like bits of chicken that they kept on like dropping onto my trousers, which I kept on trying to have to pull off again. It's like, chicken juice.
They were so adorable. And just being able to see them up close and just pat paws with them.
Adorable.
It's a memory that I'm going to have.
Me too.
Probably forever now.
To be honest.
I won't lie. I'm tempted to ask you to get me that as a birthday present next year.
Again.
I'm just come back because it was just so good. But yes, so sadly the raccoon experience had to come to an end. The raccoons ran out of food to us to give them, although I'm feeling we could have probably sat there giving them more food all day and then keep eating it.
Yeah, I could have bought some more grapes.
They were so floofy. They were beautiful.
Because they were coming in with their winter coat now.
Yeah.
So.
But sadly, it was time to leave, and the moment we came out the enclosure, oh boy, did we get wet.
Oh my god.
It probably washed my jeans, actually.
Yeah.
So, that might not have been so bad, but it was chucking it down.
Typical British weather.
And yeah, so we made a very soggy trip back to the main centre, where Theodore very kindly brought me a little raccoon plush.
I did, of course. I had to.
It's always great
Of course,
to buy a
I
little
had to, and I had
souvenir.
some lovely ones there too.
Well, I like having a little souvenir, but it's great to support these places too.
Yeah.
And then we thankfully timed it just right that the rain had stopped for us to go and get the bus back. And you know, that was the end of the day, and it was a sad end because I had to go home. But I know that round the corner from me are these just beautiful raccoons that you can go literally
Right up
centimetres from.
Yeah.
It's an absolute dream. I mean, if you're a raccoon fan, you know, you're in. But I mean, honestly, if you find yourself in the Oxfordshire area or in the UK and you want a really cool experience, do go check out Millets Farm. It's not expensive. They're open, you know, I think all year actually. And you can, you know, you can actually do a little tour in the, you know, you could get around it probably about half a day.
Oh, easily.
It's a great afternoon. It's very affordable, and they, you know, if you're into birds, they've got falconry experiences. So you can go for falcon walks and that sort of thing, or you could do the raccoon feeding. You know,
and again, their bird shows are amazing. I really, we went to 2 of the bird shows in the end, and they were different every time, so it wasn't the same thing.
Yeah, well worth checking out. So I mean, if you're interested in checking them out or seeing their work that they do there, do check the link in the description below.
Give them some love.
Yeah, tell them Shadow Raccoon says hi.
Yeah.
Definitely tell the raccoons that as well. I missed them.
Aww.
I missed the raccoons. They were adorable.
Oh, love.
But no, it was an absolutely amazing day out.
I'm glad you had a good birthday
I had
present.
such a good time. The centre was great. The staff were really friendly. Everyone was polite. It was just sort of a great place. And you know, given the year that everyone's having right now, that was a trip I needed.
Something we all needed.
And you know, they're just providing the entertainment that we needed. It was just a lot of fun. So big thanks to Millets Farm Falconary for you know, having these days and running these days, and I definitely will be doing one again. So, you know, check them out. If you enjoyed this video about our encounter with raccoons, please click that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, or consider supporting us on Patreon. There's a link in the description below. I'm Shadow Raccoon.
And I'm Theadore Rabbit.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye everyone.